To make concern, it's a cool podcast. Listen with your friends or listen with your dog, man. Subscribe today or I'll be in your closet. To make concern, that's a really cool podcast. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of To Make Concern. We are back once again with another episode for y'all. As you can tell, I am back in the college dorm. And as you can also tell, Steven is still in his college dorm.
Our apartment, but yeah, still stuck here for all eternity.
Yeah. And now I get the privilege of being stuck here as well. Yay!
Yippee!
My summer is officially over.
And my summer never started.
How tragic. Truly a life full of woes.
Yes, very tragic.
No summer.
I've made an executive decision for future years that I'm not gonna do this again. I'm just always going home for the summer, and if I have things that my college wants me to do, then I'm just gonna tell them that they can suck it, and I'm gonna go home anyway. Because I'm not doing this again.
They're just gonna be like, no, you can't make me.
They literally can't. Summer is never required. Like I stayed here because I thought that it wasn't gonna take that long, and then it took like way longer than it was supposed to. So.
And they were like, "Oh, you're willing to stay here? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep you here for the entire summer."
Pretty much. So yeah, I'm not doing it again. From in the future, in future summers, I'm just always gonna leave for the summer. So don't worry, loyal podcast viewers. If this podcast is still around next time summer comes, then I will actually be at my home again.
It's because all of our viewers are just fiending. They are fiending to see that room again.
No, they're fiending to see Steven's Corner come back.
Well, I mean, Steven's Corner is at college, so it's like...
That's true.
Like,
and it probably will be back.
We
at
have
some point.
3 locations. We've had 3 prominent locations for you. Your home back home, your Steven's Corner, and your college apartment.
Yeah.
For me, I've had only two appearances. One is, well, actually, yeah, 2 appearances. One is the college dorm, and then one back home. However, this college dorm is set up differently from the other college dorm.
Yeah, I noticed the layout looked different.
Actually, the more I think about it, I've had about 3 different layouts. The first one was for my freshman year, which was like the very beginning of this podcast. The second was my sophomore year, which was after our first big hiatus. We came back, and
we were back.
And then we went away again.
Yeah. And then we rebranded.
And then the third lurk is this right here.
So you're in your junior year now?
Yeah, I'm a junior. I've already completed 2 years of college, which is a little insane.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
How did that happen?
He's halfway through.
I feel like I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm gonna wake up already at my 30s.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, speaking of which, let's actually talk about this. We were gonna record earlier today, but something happened.
Yeah. So there was 2 things that happened. So originally Will was like, "Hey, can you record an episode at like 1 today?" And I was like, "You know what?" Or he said, "If you can't, then anything later or after that is fine." I said, "Might I suggest 2:30 so I would have time to like go get food from the dining hall at my college like I usually do." And he was like, "Okay, 2:30 is fine." And then before that, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need a couple hours. I took a nap and now I have back pain." he genuinely said that. And so,
so for further context on that, the reason why I'm back at college at this particular time, because I've moved in significantly earlier than a lot of other college kids, and that's because I've mentioned this several times. I work with the football team and I film practice and stuff. And fall camp starts at the beginning of August, last week of July, and that's when all the players, like all the members, they come back to Jacksonville. Like all the players get moved in to Jacksonville, and everybody else involved, like all the student coaches, all the student employees, basically, they get moved in. And so every morning, with the exception of Sunday, I wake up at 6. I head to the office, and then we head to the football field, and then we film for a couple of hours, and I return to the office, and then I eat lunch, and then I come back here. And it's a lot of standing, it's a lot of walking, and through all that, I did something. I'm still not entirely sure what I did. I think I reached over to like grab something, or I put something away, and through that, I pulled a muscle in my back.
Oh, my back!
And throughout the entire afternoon, I literally was like that. I was just like, "Ooh, my back." I felt like an old man. It was like old man Jenkins got back problems. Someone
You're-
give him his cane.
You're already old. You are an old man. You're already over 20.
I'm about to turn 21 this month. I'm still in the prime of my life. I refuse to believe that I'm getting older.
He's gonna be able to drink in just a month.
Legally speaking.
Legally, yeah. What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying. Let me make it clear, by the way. I'm not trying to imply anything. So, cops or parent watching this, you know, this is not an admission of guilt.
This is not an admission of guilt.
This reminds me. I'm sure. I don't think you've seen this, but the first episode of Breaking Bad, it starts with the main character making a videotape, and I think it goes, "My name is Walter White. I live at this address. To any law enforcement who watches this tape, this is not an admission of guilt, nor any form of self-incrimination of what I've done." And if you don't know, the show is about him making meth. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense.
I only know the name Walter White from memes.
Yeah, it's the show that's been memed on a million times over the past couple of years. But yeah. All right. So all that to say, I had back pains, and even right now, I still got a little bit of back pain, but I've taken some pain relievers to try and negate that pain.
Or the reason we're still recording the podcast kind of late is because he said he needed like a couple hours to do it, and then after that,
hours for the pain relievers to start taking effect.
But then after that,
when we were initially going to do this, I was miserable. I was just like, my back. I was literally just like that.
Yeah,
but now I'm at a state where I'm just fine.
But after that, he texted me again, and he was like, "Yo, I am not having back pain as much anymore, so I am ready to record." And I was doing something else at the time and not looking at Discord. Yeah, I was not looking at Discord because I was kind of locked in.
I also tried to call you several times, but you didn't pick up. He was really invested in the game he was playing.
I don't know if my phone even rang, to be honest. I'm not sure. I was not paying any attention at all, so I missed literally all of it. And then I got done with like what I was doing, and I went to check Discord, and I saw that Will had been texting me on there.
Yeah, so. It's like I gave you I DM'd you, I called you, and if none of those things work, I didn't know what else to do. I was about to get in my car and just drive to you, but then remembered, oh yeah, the only thing that stopped me was my back pain.
Yeah, I was saved by Will's back pain.
That's the only thing that stopped me from jumping into my car and driving down to Auburn. But yeah. So that explains how we got to this moment where we are recording this podcast.
at
And
5:19 p.m. on Thursday, August 1st, in the year of our Lord
oh yeah,
2024.
we always gotta start this off by saying what exactly the time is now, what day it is, so that you can
Yes.
the people watching this right now, they can look at when this episode was released, and they can look and see how long it took me to edit this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're exposing Will not being able to edit quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I got outside of football, I still got like a good amount of free time. Like after the morning, after lunch, I basically got the rest of the day to myself. The only thing I gotta be careful about is not staying up too late. Otherwise, I'm gonna be miserable in the morning because the more I have
Yeah.
like only a few hours of sleep.
Don't be like my
Because
roommate.
what's your roommate like?
He
Why am I
stay
not trying to be like him?
because he stays up extremely late every single night.
Eh. Well, I mean, once fall camp ends and classes start, I feel like I'm gonna fall back into that trap of just staying up super late and then waking up, and like some days I'll just decide not to go to class.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just not gonna go today.
Theoretically,
I don't feel like
again.
it.
Once again, this is not an admission of guilt.
Your college professors watching this.
No, it's more like if someone, because I don't know if we said this yet, but we showed our pastor this podcast. So,
Yeah.
and he might snitch on me to my dad. He'll be like, "Hey, your son's admitting to some stuff on this podcast.
He doesn't go to class.
And he also drinks.
He drinks,
apparently,
yeah.
According to the implications."
There is no concrete evidence that can be used to prove any of these things against my boy Will.
Yeah. But yeah, I generally have never tasted alcohol. It's just one of the things where it's just like,
Neither
yeah,
have I.
I just never bother because it's just like sneaking out, trying to get underage. It's just like I've just never bothered with that stuff because it's just like I'm already enough of an anxious person as is. So like trying to like break the law just to like get buzzed, it's just not something that's worth it in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
There was one time. Wait. No, it
one
wasn't
time.
it wasn't alcohol. It was somebody offered me a vape. They literally asked if I wanted to hit their vape. I was like, "No."
Oh, that's something I could get onto too. Like like nowadays, like the idea of becoming a vape addict is just like it's something that's like a lot of people like mock nowadays because it's just
Yeah.
like it's just
Well, it's
it's
because
just
like
become so lame.
back in the
It's just become
day,
so lame at this point.
back in the day, it was marketed as being like better for you than straight smoking. But
Right.
more recently, they've been talking about how like it's basically just as bad.
Like yeah, and also just like a lot of the people, and this doesn't apply to all of them, but like a lot of people, it's kind of become a stereotype of like if they are a vape addict, they're the type of people to just like basically they live just to hit the vape. Basically,
Pretty much, yeah.
they talk about yeah.
And
They're
that's
basically
that's what
NPCs
addiction
with,
does. Because like once you get addicted to something, like addiction is a real thing, and we talk about addictions like they're really easy thing to get rid of. They're easy to avoid. They're easy to prevent, but once they happen, they're not easy at all to like get out of.
yeah.
Because
And
like
it's just one of those things where it's just like the particular kind of attitude people have when they like become vape heads, as I like to call it. It's just like
yeah,
there's just a type of people to like a lot of them are just,
there's
assholes.
yeah,
And
they're
it's
that
like
they're just kind of like not there.
again, not all of them. There's some people who I know who do vape, and I'm not trying to insult them directly, but I am saying it's also just a giant money waster. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. That's the other reason why I've never become a vape head. Obviously because of health reasons, but also because it's just a money waster.
Yeah. Nah,
When I'm making money, I'd rather spend it on other things and just not this thing. Just literally just doing nothing but harming you.
yeah,
And
I
I'm
already
not saying
know.
this. I say none of this to like dictate what other people do with their lives, nor am I trying to judge too hard.
Well, I
But
mean,
I'm just saying, it's just become so lame.
yeah.
Like especially with young people's like motivation to like make a lot of money and hustle hard, and it's just funny the juxtaposition of that plus the thing they're always spending money on. It's just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I already know, like for me, I'm never gonna get into like smoking or vaping because like it's bad for
Yeah, no.
you. And being a pilot, I kind of have to stay healthy because if I have a health issue, then that could potentially mean that I can't be a pilot anymore, and I can't really afford that.
Yeah, imagine
So,
imagine a pilot like in the air and they're like, "Yeah, I really need a smoke sesh. Give me a sec." And then you just blow up the plane.
yeah, that
Like,
and also the best way
oops, I dropped
to
my wire. Lands on the technical stuff and just
yeah.
yeah, no, that's bad.
That and
That'd be
also
real
the
bad.
the best way to stop an addiction is to just not get one in the first place. So
Yeah, and this type of topic, if we get deep enough into it, it will get a little serious. So how about we just end it at that, and we
yeah,
just think
don't do drugs,
the main
kids.
message. Like the main message is, don't do these stupid things. And if you do these stupid things, don't force us to do it along with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the other thing too, because like other people are like that. It's like, come on, bro, just hit it, bro, just hit it. Come on, man, just do it, man. Come on. And
Yeah,
it's just like, no, fuck off.
and like sometimes they'll start sometimes they'll try to they'll try to make you look bad if you don't.
That's the other thing too. Like, yeah. Overall, just when it comes to stuff like that, just boo.
Yeah, don't
Move
do
on.
drugs.
Yeah. There's not even a top. We haven't even gotten to our first topic yet, and already we're like what,
Start
15,
talking
20
about
minutes
this.
in. I haven't
This
even
all
said my
started.
signature.
This literally all started from me mentioning that Will was gonna be old enough to drink in a month when he turns 21.
Yeah. So, so yeah, welcome to the podcast. If you've never seen the podcast before, this is where I bring up topics that Steven will respond to, and he might also bring us some topics occasionally.
Yeah.
Occasionally, he'll
Usually,
provide some stuff to talk
usually,
about.
usually,
Occasionally,
usually, whenever I bring up a topic, it's really gonna be a banger because it has to be a pretty good
yeah,
topic for Will to allow me to bring it up.
yeah, basically. I mean, I don't know what the topic is usually before he brings it up, so it's still like a guessing game.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, sometimes I'll slip up and I'll give a topic that's not really that good. It doesn't
Yeah,
lead
a
to
lot of
anything
times with my
interesting.
the only usually the problem with my topics that I try to bring up is I'll bring up a topic that like I want to talk about, and then like I'll give the opening line that kind of like introduces the topic, and then Will's just like, what?
Like,
It's like he has
I
no
think
idea
I
what I'm
mentioned this
talking
before,
about.
but when Steven brought up the English or Spanish thing, that
Yeah,
was at a time. That was that time when the meme was just starting to become popular, but it hadn't hit that level
yeah,
yet.
it hadn't gone viral
And
yet.
at that time, I didn't know what it was, and I was just so lost
He had
as
no
to
idea
what
what
he
I was
was
talking
talking
about.
about.
He was like, what are you? What does that mean?
Yeah,
English or
I was
Spanish?
so
What?
confused. And since then, the whole joke has started to gain so much popularity
Yeah.
that I started seeing it all the time on my feed, just like constantly, just like seeing jokes about this. So yeah, that's something that like I'm always gonna remember. Like Steven, like he caught on to it before I did, so that's something I'll give him credit for. So
Only
yeah,
only because it showed up in my YouTube Shorts feed before it did in Will's, which I don't know why, because like I don't know why that happened, but the
I
algorithm
don't
is
know,
the
man.
algorithm, I guess.
I don't know. That's a mystery that's yet to be solved. All right, so For our first topic, I wanted to touch on I'm going to start by telling a story, and then I'm going to use it to transition into talking about something else uh, that's related. But okay, so basically, the story is this. I believe this was the night before I officially moved back to college. Oh no! I before I went back to college, I went on vacation, which was a youth retreat that our
Yeah.
church.
Yeah, funny
Yeah.
story. So we were supposed to record a beach episode, which Will was gonna basically record a podcast episode.
Yes.
While he was
Oh,
at the beach.
okay.
I didn't go on this trip. So I wasn't there. But Will was gonna record a podcast episode while we were at the beach, and like
And what did you do, Steven, when I
I
reached out to you?
I had agreed to like record on Saturday because that's the day they were gonna be there, and I was gonna like have my laptop and go outside somewhere too. And we just have like
Yeah.
an outside episode, and then
I
I ended up
messaged him.
I ended up
I
sleeping.
messaged him, letting him know that I was ready at some point in the day. And what did you do, Steven?
I ended up being asleep for like 90% of that day. Like I completely forgot we were supposed to record a podcast, and I actually was only awake for like probably not more than an hour for that entire day.
And so we went on this entire youth retreat. At some point, I just forgot that I even messaged him. That I just kind of forgot about this whole thing because I was just trying to enjoy my time at the beach and pool and everything. But at the end, I realized, oh yeah, I messaged him and he just never messaged me back. So I just started thinking, what, does he hate me now? Does he not want to do this anymore? Like, did I do something?
No, usually if I don't answer you, it's because I'm sleeping. Or I didn't see your message.
But it was just like, because it's been like days and like you're not messaging me, that's when I was just like, okay, this surely is not just about him being asleep. He must be like done with this or something.
No, I just forgot about it. And then after I think it was on Sunday when he sent me the other message. I don't remember what day it was. He sent me a screenshot of like the side of his face with the beach in the background, and he says, "You have failed to respond to the call of action, and thus the beach episode has been canceled."
I did send that. It was really funny. I was just like, you have failed to respond, and now this golden opportunity has been lost forever.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
sorry.
next year.
I'm sorry, chat. No beach episode. It's my fault.
Hopefully next year, I'm gonna make a statement right now. Next year, we are going to redeem ourselves. Well, you're gonna redeem yourself.
Yeah.
I did nothing wrong. I reached out to you.
There was entire.
And you failed.
There was
So
no.
the responsibility of redemption is lays on you, and you alone. I
Well,
will. Like,
okay. Ideally, I'll actually be at home next summer and, not stuck at college. So my parents will probably not let me sleep because they don't like it when I sleep a lot during the day. So usually they come and like wake me up. Now, even if I don't have anything to do that day, they'll just come wake me up. And their reason is just because you should be awake and not
it's
sleeping.
like, how dare you sleep? You should
Exactly,
stop
yeah. They're like, you should be
That's right.
awake. You can't be sleeping at like 11.
Yeah, no, my parents don't do that. They just like during the summer, I like sleep in. This particular summer, my dad was usually just away at work, and I would just sleep there. And like as long as I like woke up before I had to go to work, I would be fine. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
The funnier part is like they don't like it when I stay asleep, but if I wake up and then I'm like go get food or something and I can go back in my room and then just take a nap and they don't even care. Like napping is fine,
So-
but
so I got a bed right here. I'm gonna simulate this. You're just gonna be asleep. They're gonna come in. It's like wake up, and you're like, okay, I'm waking up. You like stand up, and then you lay back down, and you go to sleep, and they don't even care.
yeah, well, usually I'll go get like food or something like that. But if I come back and then I'll like lay in the bed and I'll get on my phone or something, and I'll just end up falling asleep watching YouTube or something, and then they don't care. Like they never come back into my room, and even if they
That's
like,
so there's like a cooldown timer between like when you're getting out of bed and then when you come back to bed.
yeah,
Like,
basically, and it's like
you could,
even
theoretically, you could start like a speed run of just like how fast can I get out of bed and then return, and then for them to not care that I went back to sleep.
yeah.
Like how fast could you do this? That'd be a fun game to play.
Yeah. The wake up and go back to sleep any percent run.
8% run. Yes. As soon as you wake up, you start a timer, and you just like go. Like you just get to the kitchen as fast as you can, grab food as fast as you can, and just go back and like fall asleep as fast as you can.
Yes.
And and the funny thing with this is like if you go too fast, they're going to consider that as you going back to sleep. But if you let just the right amount of time pass, you hit that spot where they'll suddenly stop caring. Like
Exactly.
that's when they determine you've been awake for long enough for them to caring.
I've spent enough
This
time.
subject.
I've spent enough of the day conscious. I'm allowed to go pass out again.
We're getting this down to a science, to a mathematical
We can
formula.
find the exact minimum amount of time that I have to be awake.
Anyways, I was trying to tell a story and we got sidetracked.
We had to tell the audience about the canceled beach episode.
It's been a while since we recorded. To be fair,
which is mainly because I let the beach episode opportunity slip away. Because like we were gonna do that on Saturday and it's currently Thursday, so
yeah, that's just one of those moments where I just gotta be like, why? Why you do that, Steven?
I enjoy sleeping.
I enjoy sleeping as much as the next guy, but I also enjoy doing podcasts, and I would have really enjoyed doing a podcast, like, even if it's, like, not at the beach, because, like, here's the deal, right? I downloaded Discord on my iPad. I had the idea that if I, like, had if I had to call vertical, it could mimic this, like, rectangle-shaped feed that would have been fed into the feedback on your end. However, once I tested it, I realized it actually, like, kind of produces the same aspect ratio as a phone.
Well, yeah, because it's vertical.
Like, I was thinking because of the iPad, I would be able to turn it, but apparently I couldn't. So it would have just looked like an iPhone feed, but it still would have been cool. Like, it would have been like this, as opposed to like this.
Yeah. Basically, you could just imagine half of Will's screen width just being cut off by black borders.
Well, I mean, it would be more like all the background footage would be gone, and it would just be like me, right here.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of what it would look like.
But next year, if we ever go on a beach retreat again, I'm gonna plan and see. Maybe I might bring my laptop. I may not. I don't know. It's kind of a risky thing to like bring a laptop to a beach because like if I drop it, and Sam gets into it, that's gonna be a world of pain for me.
Yeah, that's bad news if that happens. Also,
that's why I like opted to bring the iPad instead because it seems like a safe alternative.
Also, there's a reason why I'm not part of, like, if we both went on the beach trip, we could probably film like a live both of us in the same place podcast. Yeah. Like we did that one time for the Mario Kart episode. But like, and I could go on the beach trip if I wanted to. There's nothing stopping me from going. I choose not to go on the trip because I don't particularly like the beach that
you're
much.
A vampire who don't like sunlight.
It's not sunlight. I just don't really like the beach, and I also don't like the because it's a youth trip, so it's with like all of the kids.
Yeah, you would have been considered a semi chaperone.
Is that what you were considered?
I was considered a chaperone.
Oh, so you weren't even going as a student?
Nah, not really.
Wow. But yeah. But you,
I mean,
but
it does give you like it does grant you privileges. Like they have buddy system to where like every student had to have someone. With chaperones, it didn't really apply. It was just like, oh, you want to go somewhere? Yeah, go ahead, go.
go, see ya. But yeah, the point being that our youth group it's mostly like middle school kids, so they're kind of younger, and dealing with kids is not really something that I enjoy. So I don't I don't really.
I mean, this year the group of kids we have, they were surprisingly not the worst thing in the world that I was expecting. Like some of them were actually pretty chill. Like obviously you had your hyper ones who were like all over the place, but you have some others who they were just there. They're like, yeah, I'm here. I'm a kid. Whatever. It was kind of like that. So it wasn't really that bad. It was a good trip. Anyways, I was telling the story or something.
Yeah, there was
We're
story.
still hold on. What? We're still on the first topic. This is how you know it's gonna be.
I want to point out we are 30 minutes in.
And we're just getting to the first topic.
Exactly.
We're both excited to be back. We got a lot of stuff
This
to
is
talk
gonna
about.
this is gonna be one of those longer like hour and a half episodes.
I really do want it to get to like 2 hours if we could. Like that'd be a podcast record for us.
Yeah, it would. I think
I got enough topics to prolong it to that length. So
and I can further prolong it by bringing up random topics that nobody asked for.
You can bring up other topics during like in the middle of my topics, which seems to be how he gets most of his topics.
Yeah, that's what I do. Well, because mainly it'll be like we'll be talking about a topic, and then I'll just think of like something that's related that I know about or that like I've experienced, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll make like the connection. I'll be like, this is kind of similar to this one other thing, and I'll explain it, and then Will's like, can you like not interrupt my story?
Yeah, pretty much. So So yeah, me and my dad, we went to a pizza place. It's called Carbone's. Have you ever been there? It's like
oh yeah, my parents love that place. They always get their pizza from there.
Yeah, really good place. They can be very inconsistent with when they're open. Since it's a family-owned restaurant, sometimes they'll go on vacation, and other times they'll just be like, "Man, I don't really feel like
I don't really feel like it. We're just gonna be closed today."
So whenever we find the opportunity to actually go there, we usually take it. It's just like, we gotta go there. And it's just like, yeah. Because it's one thing to order pizza from them, but it's another thing to like, eat actually like at the restaurant, which is usually a good experience.
Yeah, I've only eaten at the restaurant a couple times because usually they order it to go. But I've eaten there a couple times, and like it's usually pretty busy. And it's also like a pretty small restaurant, and the tables are pretty close together, so it kind of feels like super packed when you're in there.
Yeah, but usually it's a good experience to just go there. However, this particular time, me and my dad went. There was a family when we walked in, there was a family who was at a family table. And they had a baby who looked like they were maybe 1, 2 years old.
That's how you know it's gonna be bad. Babies are always bad news.
Yeah, well, sometimes they're quiet, but this baby was a crier. They just cried and cried, and me and my dad, we were at the table that was like close to them. And what was funny about it was like, at this point, when we had just gotten into the restaurant, they had already had their food. Like, they were already eating. In fact, it even looked like they were almost done. From what I saw, they looked like they had a bunch of empty plates. So I saw this, and I was like, okay, well, me and my dad, we might have to put up with this crying child for maybe a few minutes, but eventually they'll leave, you know. Hopefully they'll eventually leave.
Surely.
That was not the case. Um, Apparently, what they did was throughout the time where we were there, they ended up ordering more food, as if what they got wasn't enough or something. Like maybe someone wanted a calzone or something, and they just brought it. It's like, yeah, let's stay here.
Let's annoy the rest of the patrons of this restaurant a little longer.
Yes. And so, throughout the entire time me and my dad were there, we were trying to talk about stuff, and like this baby just kept crying. Like it would always happen at random intervals where it was just like there'd be a period of silence, and then as soon as I tried to like speak up to like tell my dad something, all we hear in the background is just where, where, where. It's one of those babies who they try to get as loud as possible. Like they'll just belt out
Yeah.
like as loud as possible.
Because the reason they do that is because like when they haven't learned to talk yet, that's how you get attention. Like that's how they let you know they want something. And if you're not giving it to them, they're just gonna do it louder.
Yeah, and from what I saw, I didn't want to look too hard because I didn't want to embarrass the parents. Because like I'm sure they have to put up with this enough as is, but like they look like the type of parents who were just like fed up with this. They were like, "Yeah, all right, what do you want?" It's like, "What do you think you want?" All right, okay, calm down, whatever. Like they just had that type of attitude.
They were in the stage of wondering what led them to the decision to have kids.
Pretty much.
There's always a stage for any parents. Anytime you have a new parent, there's always the stage where they wonder if it was really worth it.
Yeah. And eventually, during the thing, like when me and my dad, we were just kind of looking at this, I just turned to my dad. I was just like, "Was I like that 19, 18 years ago?"
Was I?
And he was like,
"This is always the best question."
I'm so sorry for whatever I did all those years ago. If it was like this. But he told me, nah, I was the quiet one. And that's what he told me. I'm not sure if it's the truth. That he just...
No, he just wants to not make you feel bad.
Yeah. that's a possibility. I'm not sure. It's not like I got any clear memories from back then, because, I was literally a baby. But yeah. And, as me and my dad, we got our food, and we just kept eating, and this family, they seemed to just have empty plates for a long time, but they were just not leaving. And that baby was just not shutting up. And we were there, me and my dad, we were there for a good, 30, 40 minutes, and by the time we left, that's exactly the same time that they left. So it was just like, well... They really just stayed here long enough, exactly long enough for me and my dad to be there. And what's worse is they gave me false hope at the beginning by making it look like they were almost done with their meal so that they would leave, but they never left. And so the entire time I was just thinking, when are they going to leave? Are they ever going to leave? Do they live here? Like,
legend has it they're still there to this day.
For some reason.
Legend has it they're still there to this day.
Nah, if that was the case, that would make me feel maybe a little better, but no, they left at the exact same time as us. Like they planned this.
They're waiting for you to leave.
That they planned this. Like, that's how I feel.
This was targeted.
This was targeted. We need the CIA involved to see just how much planning went into this. Surely they did some form of stalking in order to get this information on us. This is my conspiracy. This is what I am conspirating is the case. I probably sound like a crazy person right now. Have you seen that meme of the guy with the bulletin full of papers?
Yeah.
It's just if you look here, it all connects. I feel like that. And you're just the other guy who's just watching, and they're just like you're just listening, and you don't know what to say. It's just um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
that's cool. That's cool.
That's crazy, bro.
It's like, damn, that's crazy. That really happened to you, man? That's crazy. All right. Ugh. All right. So Steven,
Yes.
as you know, throughout a lot of these episodes, a lot of the topics has been us calling out certain companies and like calling out certain like businesses and like restaurant, whether they be restaurants, stores, whatever. And
Yeah.
we've always called them out by name. Uh, so
So anyway.
when I was showing this podcast to one of my coworkers, he asked me, "What are you going to do when you start getting sued by these companies?"
Why would
Because
why would the companies
Because for
have a
those who
reason to
don't
sue
know,
us?
this is a real thing. There are companies who will get mad if you talk about them in a negative light in a public thing that you release to the internet. And if you start making money off of it, then that's when they get upset. They're like, "You're defaming us in this."
Well, yeah, because like I know there's a thing called like there's an actual thing called defamation, but that's like when someone who works at the company does it. I don't think that applies to just like random people on the internet.
It's one. It's one of the things. Was like if you ever watch like a YouTuber, like let's say you're watching like a YouTube animator. Like I'm gonna use the odd ones out as an
Oh,
example.
because he talks about
When he
Subway.
when he talked about Subway, once his videos started getting popular, he eventually started calling it Suabway, like making like it like a fake brand name, but
Oh
still
yeah.
to the point where people could tell what he was talking about. He started doing that because he didn't want to get sued by Subway for using their trademark in the videos.
So like,
And I
that
talked with my coworker about this. He talked about how like even talking about them is grounds for them to sue us. And
is
so
it really? Because
this
like,
is
can they really like? I'm genuinely like I'm curious now to do some research about this because like it doesn't seem like it's like it's free speech, right? Like I don't. It doesn't seem like you
and
should be able to.
that's the logic that I'm going with as well.
Yeah, because like it
And
doesn't.
like
It doesn't seem like
I
you
can
should be
see
able
it.
to.
I can see it. Like I can see them like a company trying that.
Yeah.
Let's say we like blow up and we get like 1 million subscribers. All of our videos go super viral. I could see a company like trying
Yeah, well,
something
because
like
it's
that.
bad for their name.
Like
Like, obviously, like, I'm not
Nintendo.
going to deny that. It's bad for their name, and I can understand why a company would be unhappy about it. But at the same time,
Yeah.
there's not really anything they can do about it because people are allowed to say what they want. Like, it doesn't matter if it's on the internet or
I mean,
not.
that's true. I feel like there's some grounds that like, we're not considering that they could use as like legitimate reason to sue us.
Yeah, like I said,
But regardless,
that could be grounds for like firing someone if they work at the company. Like if you work at a company and you're like talking bad about your own company and giving them a bad name, they're probably gonna fire you for that. So like that's grounds for that. But like if it's not a company you work at, then like talking bad about them shouldn't really be grounds for anything. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do research on this.
yeah. But here's where the topic comes in. Let's say like and what you're saying is definitely true. I feel this is kind of what I also kind of tend to believe. But let's say let's say that us mentioning a company and a bad name is grounds for suing. Watch me become big. How many companies do you think are going to sue us for mentioning them?
That depends because like we can talk.
Let's just ignore the reality of the laws, and let's just say that the law is now if you mention any company and a bad name, you're going to get sued. Let's just assume that for this particular hypothetical.
We have to think about how many companies have we already talked about in a bad like in a negative sense, And then, like, in the time it takes us to become famous, how many more companies will we talk about
Yes.
in a negative sense?
Let's say we get copyrighted. Like, you remember
We're
that?
gonna get copyrighted.
We're gonna get copyrighted. Let's go with that. First things first, Wendy's definitely. I've made several talking points about my experiences at Wendy's, all the less favorable things that's gone on at Wendy's, and like, dealing with customers mostly. It's just like I've mentioned Wendy's by far the most.
Yeah, well, because you
At
work
least
there,
I
so
believe,
yeah.
but yes, and that example you brought up of me working there, like, let's say this podcast blows up so much to the point where next summer, if I try to apply working there
They're gonna
again,
be
they're
like,
gonna be like,
nah,
"Oh,
dude.
you're the Wendy's guy. You're the one who defamed us. Yeah, we ain't giving you a job, buddy."
We ain't doing anything. You gotta go work somewhere else, bro.
Yeah. And all the other restaurants are gonna be like, "Oh, you're talking bad about them? Well, we don't want you talking bad about us while working here."
It's gonna be impossible for you to find a job.
I've blacklisted myself.
Yes, from all of the jobs.
I'm
feel
never
like-
gonna be able to get a job anywhere.
I feel like maybe Arby's too, right? Because Arby's is right next door, and you said some things about them too.
It was mostly just about the confusion people had thinking that we were Arby's. That was like the main thing I always talked about.
Can I get a roast beef sandwich?
Here's the thing, it was always the roast beef sandwich. That was always the one they brought up. Like,
It's like,
there was other
now
stuff they bring
we're
up,
Wendy's.
but
We have burgers, not roast beef.
yeah, that's a tangent I've gone on to death over the course of this podcast. But yeah, it's a common meme
Yeah.
to say, "Sir, this is a Wendy's," because that's legitimately what we had to say. Just
sir,
like,
this is a Wendy's.
"Sir, we're at Wendy's. You're talking about Arby's next door."
And another company on my side, I've definitely said negative things about Publix.
Publix, yeah. Let's say this podcast blows up and like you try to get a job back there. And
No, I'm not getting a
like,
job back at Publix. I'm not going to work at Publix again.
In that case, then what job do you want to get in the future? Like outside pilot, obviously, but like what other part-time?
Like I said, right now.
Did you say you used to like DoorDash or something?
Yeah, well, it's Instacart, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's like one of those delivery apps. But yeah, that's kind of what I do now. I might keep doing that, or like I might end up getting an actual job. I don't know. It kind of depends.
And let's say we this podcast blows up and like a airline gets word of like all the jokes we've made.
No, that's the worst part. That is the worst part. That's what we don't want to happen, or what I don't want to happen. Yeah, be like, he's gonna crash our planes. He's not concerned for the safety of the passengers.
Yeah, this other guy jokes about it.
Yeah, the 9/11 jokes. That's the worst part.
Yes. It's like, I genuinely don't want anything bad to happen to you because of this podcast. That would make me feel too bad. Like, I always make jokes about, like, oh, put a gun to your face, oh, I hold you hostage, or whatever. But, like, I genuinely don't want anything bad to happen to you because of this podcast. That would be the worst thing.
Yeah, which, I mean, like, really the only thing that would happen would be just me, like, not being able to get a job because all the companies see the podcast and they're like, what's all this stuff that you said here? And they just kind of like hold that against you.
Yeah, and we try, like, whenever we make those jokes, we try to like immediately afterwards, just like
like for legal reasons, this is a joke. We don't condone. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like for legal reasons, this is a joke, and then it's like
for legal reasons, this is a joke. For non-defamatory reasons, this is a joke. Because like those jokes could technically be defamatory towards you. You could technically sue me for making those jokes.
Yeah, I could, but I wouldn't because I know that they're just jokes.
Yes, but like, if you couldn't get a job because of them, because of those jokes, you could technically sue me.
Nah, we're bros. We would never do.
Oh yeah, we're bros.
We would
We're
never do that.
bros. Even if I ruin your long-time career options, we're still bros at the end of the day.
Yeah. Surely I'll find some airline that's willing to hire me.
Some,
End up
maybe
working-
American Airlines.
Yeah.
You can always give them a try.
Yeah.
There's some airlines that get a bad reputation
Like
for being
Spirit.
bad. Yeah. And
Or,
we need pilots like you to help change that reputation by actually providing good quality service.
Well, to be fair, the pilots usually aren't the ones providing the service. The main reason that airlines
that's a good
the main
point.
reason that airlines get a bad rep is because of everything that goes on outside of the flights, like how they handle their customer service, and like how they manage like delays and stuff like that. All of like the administrative stuff that happens on the ground and in the airport, that's the kind of stuff that gives airlines a bad rep. I don't think airlines usually get a bad rep based on what the pilots do.
Well, okay, that's the thing though. You need to be in the airport like during all this, and then once everybody's boarded, you run up to the cockpit. You can do multiple things at once, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can just manage the whole flight.
Just like be behind. Imagine being behind the desk, like giving them the tickets, and then once they like walk out, they just see you running, just like let me get to the airplane.
Then I'm the gate agent who's checking their tickets as they board, and then once everybody's on,
Yes.
I'm the flight
You're
attendant.
like constantly changing. You're
Yeah.
constantly changing wardrobes as you do it.
And then like once everybody's on board the plane, I'm the flight attendant giving the safety briefing, and then as soon as the safety briefing is done, I'm like, okay, I gotta go fly the plane. Bye, guys.
While you're flying the plane, you briefly change out of your pilot gear to change it to like you're like rolling the cart down to
Yeah.
provide back to stuff. And then once you do that, you run back to the airplane to continue flying.
And then as soon as the airplane lands, I immediately get up, run to the airport, and end up being like the baggage person, where people have to get their bags. It's just doing every single job. See, this is a good thing for the airlines. Any airlines that are looking to hire me, that's the level of dedication that I have. That I will do every single job in the entire process all at once. That is the amount of dedication.
And then once you land the airplane, after you like get everyone's bag, you rush back inside the airport, and then you start the process all over again
Yeah, exactly.
of like taking tickets, and then I'm still laughing at the idea of you changing wardrobes constantly into
Yeah.
the appropriate attire for each job that you're doing.
I just have to, before every shift, I have to do a dress rehearsal.
Dress rehearsal. That's hilarious. See, this is the type of representation we need for you on this podcast. The one that
Yes.
proves just how much of a good employee you are and why
Yes,
they should hire you over all the other
because
normies who-
I'm an extra
like-
hard worker.
all they want to do is fly the airplane.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
Like,
We need someone who's gonna do everything.
they're so lazy.
Everything that needs to
All
be
they
done.
all they do is sit in that plane and just fly it from one
Yeah.
place to another, and they just kind
We
of
need
stand
who's-
around.
who's,
Like all that
multitasking.
time. All that time that they're not flying planes, like anytime the plane is on the ground when they're not flying it, they could be doing anything else.
Exactly.
So hire me.
Yes.
I'm the person who will go above and beyond, go the extra mile to do all of the other jobs whenever I'm not flying the plane. And then still be able to fly the plane as effectively as anyone else.
Imagine an airline watches this and they actually do try to hold you to that standard.
No,
Yeah, no, I don't want
No, I don't want to do that. They're like, but you said we have the proof right here. They pull up the
We
episode.
have to prove.
Is it, you said right here in this episode that you were gonna do this. You promised.
You promised us.
Are you gonna hold true on your promise,
if that
or are
ends
we
up
gonna have to
happening,
fire you?
if that ends up happening, let me know, and just let me know how it goes, and we'll talk about it on the next episode. On episode 5322.
Yeah.
Alright. So Steven,
Yee.
remember the challenge I gave you about the Gatorade and Powerade thing?
Oh yeah, the one that I kind of just did really.
The one that you like absolutely nailed, like knocked it out of the park.
Because it's easy to tell the difference. Like there's a distinct difference between the two drinks. It's very easy to tell.
Well, that like when I went shopping the other day to get stuff for college, I had to get toothpaste, and the two main brands for toothpaste, as far as I'm aware, is Crest and Colgate. Those are the
Something
two
like
main
that.
brands.
I actually don't really
Yeah.
know toothpaste brands all that well. I just use whatever my mom buys for me.
and that had me thinking the exact same thing. Could you tell which toothpaste was Crest and which toothpaste was Colgate?
No, because I have not had enough experience with both of them, and I don't really. I usually when I use toothpaste, I don't pay attention to what brand it is, so I don't really know like.
And so, I extend this offer to you, Steven. Next time we meet together, this could be the next Christmas special.
The next Christmas
I want
special.
to present to you toothpaste from both Crest and Colgate, and you're gonna brush your teeth.
But I already
Yeah.
said I wasn't gonna be able to tell though.
But that's it. This is when the real challenge is going to be. This is a real challenge for you to try to be able to tell which one's Crest and which one's Colgate. Just like you're just gonna have to guess.
Man,
Yeah, it's like-
this challenge sounds rigged.
How is it rigged? I'm literally just gonna pour two separate things of toothpaste and
Because I'm
give them to
literally
you blind.
because I have to guess randomly. Like there's no.
You can use deduction. You could between now and then. You should get two things of toothpaste, one from Crest and one from Colgate, and you need to start studying.
I have to
Try it-
study.
try
Yeah, you heard it here.
Tell-
You heard it here first, chat. I gotta study toothpaste flavors as my homework.
That might be the title of this episode. Today's assignment: study toothpaste.
Yeah, study toothpaste.
Like, start studying the toothpaste you use. There's this YouTube channel that produces these shorts, and it's literally just like, basically the premise of all these shorts is just like, today's mission, do this weird stuff. And it's like one example is just like, today's mission, talk to your friend about how your day's been and see how long it takes for them to realize you're just describing the plot of a popular movie. It's stuff like that. And they always frame it as today's mission, like it's super important. Like you're part of a like secret, like covert government like squad that like carries out daily missions that are in the that provide America the security it needs, something like that. When really it's just silly stuff, just like the example I brought up. Another example is like today's mission: put super glue at the bottom of your friend's toilet seat so that next time they try to pull it up to take a pee, it'll get stuck. Just basically something like that.
Nah, peeing with the toilet seat down is like a sign of like skill because you have to aim to not hit the side of it. So like it's like an emblem of respect if you can pee with the toilet seat down.
How about both the seats down, like the one that covers it? How about that?
How are you supposed to
There's little cracks. There's little cracks in the toilet seat.
You just have to.
You just gotta be very precise.
You just gotta aim so carefully.
You gotta aim You gotta aim very carefully to get right in the cracks, like the tiny little cracks. It's like very hard, but it's technically possible.
No, this just reminds me of like the meme that I've seen where it's like a picture of a toilet bowl with like a grid like of coordinates over the bowl, and it's like, where do you aim?
Yeah. It also kind of reminds me of the meme of the toilet that has the head popping out and saying "skibbity double what skibbity wee woo."
I haven't seen that one. I'm
I'm
sorry.
referring to the skibbity toilet meme.
I don't. I see. I don't consume brain rot.
You know, actually super fair. That's actually like the fairest thing you've ever said on this entire podcast.
What? I
That's
don't consume
actually
brain rot.
incredibly fair. Yeah. I've been unfortunate enough to be exposed to some of these things, some of these brain rot things, to the point where I'm pretty much aware of like the brain rot terminology as of 2023.
The only
Like I'm
way...
aware there's some new terms that's been invented, but like, you know, like every time I hear like Gen Alpha remixes of songs, it's just like I know what all these words mean, and I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah, the only the only one I know is like that one song where it's like sticking out your gat for the Rizzler.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's a song. I might have talked about this before, but that's a song that's like, it's really bad, but it did get stuck in my head for a good few weeks. And it tortured me, the fact that it got stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I like went throughout the rest of my day, but just like, oh no, it's in my mind again.
It's sticking out your gat for the Rizzler. You're so
It's something
skibbity.
about that line. It's something about that line. It's just like sticking out your gat for the. It's also the way like whoever said that. It sounded like a child. It was like the way they said it. It was just like.
Well, yeah, because as we all know, it's like Gen Alpha brain rot terms.
Kids, yeah. There's just something about the way it was said. Just like it just stuck with me in a bad way. Like I don't know. It's just yeah. So yeah. That's one of the potential titles of this episode. Steven is tasked with the assignment to pay attention to toothpaste.
Yes.
Or something along those lines. I don't know.
Or we're just gonna call this episode "Skibbity Got Rizzler in Ohio" or something like that.
No, this episode is too much of a banger for me to taint it with a title like that.
The most Sigma episode.
No. I am so sick of that. That's how like something being so Sigma. I'm so sick of it. Like, if there's one thing that's just grind my gears, it's that. It's just like all the talk about like Sigma males, Alpha males, Beta males. Like it's just so bad. It's just bad.
I think the term Sigma has started being used a lot more, and like people use it in such weird contexts where it makes no sense at all.
The main appeal of being a Sigma male is like Alpha males are associated with people who are like basically kind of like jocks, just like the like just like the like the gym bro type dude.
Yeah,
like,
gym bro.
The idea of being a Sigma male being like you're just the cool loner, just like I exist on this planet alone.
Nah, everyone knows that nothing is better than Giga Chad.
Yeah, it's just like stuff like that. It's just like But moving on from that, so Steven.
Yeah.
Do you remember a while back, like several episodes ago, we talked about this, about do NFL players get paid too much?
Yeah, like the discussion of whether they were paying football players too much, yeah.
well, since then, there's been five. So get this right. There's been five NFL quarterbacks who have all gone extensions this year, like contract extensions, for them to like play on their particular team for another few years.
Yeah.
And these five quarterbacks, their contracts collectively equal over $1 billion.
Yeah, that sounds
Just
about.
five players.
That sounds about right.
And this is something that is unprecedented as of right now. Like each of these players have over $2 million in contract.
I did the math real quick. $1 billion divided by 5 players is 200 million per player.
Yeah. And apparently the highest paid one, that being Jordan Love for the Packers, his contract was $220 million, which is the highest paid that a player has been paid in the NFL, like, period, like, ever. And the only one who held the prior record was Joe Burrow of the Bengals, who is also in the same QB class, who is also still playing in the NFL. Like, his contract was extremely similar to that. So this kind of like raises up the question once again of like these five players, their contracts equals $1 billion, and I feel like this could easily give ammunition to the people who argue that this is too much for these players to be making.
To be fair,
so I just wanted to see hear your reaction.
I still stand by the argument that I made back when we originally discussed this, which for people who haven't seen that episode was basically that like it's not that the players are like demanding this much money, it's that the teams are offering this much money to these players. And like because good football players and like talent in any sport really, but in this case football, because that kind of talent is sort of unique in a way, it does have a lot of value. And it's not a matter of the teams wanting to give like, it is a matter of them wanting to give that much money, but the reason that the costs are so high is because teams are competing with each other. It's basically a competition of like which team is going to give the player the most money, because obviously players are going to want to go and play on the team which is going to offer them the most money. And so teams are offering these large sums of money in order to compete with other teams, and because they want that player to play for them instead of a different team. And so I don't really think there's necessarily an amount of money like it's hard to say, it's hard to like put a limit on how much money can be paid to these guys, because that would kind of get rid of the aspect of competition between teams.
And obviously other technical stuff plays into this, like salary cap and like all other technical stuff that we're not necessarily going to get into. But
mostly because I don't really understand it.
I do truly want to ask, like, how high can these like prices get over the next few years?
That's a rhetorical
obviously
question.
Inflation plays a big part of like things getting more and more expensive. So that obviously plays a big role in all this. Like just the fact that things are just costing more in general. But also it's just like how high can these contract extensions get? Like
I feel like it's only going to get worse.
Let's say in the next few years there's a player who gets a $500 million extension. Let's say this at some point in the future there's a player that gets $1 billion in extension. Like how high can we get with this?
Yeah, I feel like as long as the NFL is a thing, and as long as the system works the way that it does now, the prices are probably just going to keep going up. Because like it's a competition thing.
So it's like, how high do you think it's realistically going to go?
I don't know. I really don't think there's a limit. Especially like when you mentioned inflation, because like inflation is going to continuously decrease the value of currency, And so, like, what's $1 billion worth today might only be worth, like, $100,000 in a few decades.
And that's crazy, honestly. Like the U.S. dollars might start becoming like yen currency because if you don't
Yeah.
know, yen is like a dollar U.S. is like isn't it like 100 or 1,000 something
I
in
don't know.
yen?
I know it's a lot. I know yen is like
Yeah, it's like a lot.
a
Yeah,
yen, a
so
single
it's like
yen is less valuable than a US cent, basically.
yeah. So it's like, will that start happening to the point where it's like if you want to buy like a soda pop, you need like $200?
And it might, honestly. And like inflation's not necessarily inflation happens because mainly it happens because the economy gets stimulated by uh adding more money to it because our government prints its own currency. We use like paper money and like coins, and so because of that, when you add more money that is like I forget what the term for it is. There's like a you probably learned about this in elementary school and don't remember it. But they talk about how like because all of our currency used to be based on gold, right? Because gold is obviously something that has a tangible value. It has like a material value. It's a physical thing. I don't know what I'm trying to explain here.
I,
Basically,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
basically
Yeah.
basically what happens when you insert more money into the economy is the value of each individual unit of currency goes down. And so that's what happens as our government continues to print more cash is the value of each unit, like each dollar goes down, so a dollar is worth less, and that's why inflation is a thing. So as inflation goes up, the value of the dollar is going to continue to go down and prices are going to go up. The main reason why people complain about inflation now is because prices are going up but income is not. And so it's
Yes.
we're having to spend more on things but we're not making more in order to balance that out because like if the right inflation is not that bad if you have both the prices of things and people's income going up because if income goes up proportionally the same as prices, then relatively the price of things versus how much people are making is the same. And that's fine because that means people can still afford things. It becomes a problem when prices go up faster than income, and so the relative relationship between how much people are making versus how much they have to spend gets bigger and makes it harder for people to afford things. And so
So I think I'm gonna put an answer your history lesson because I can tell people are getting bored by
it's
listening
it's
to
more
this.
it's more like an economics lesson, but basically all that to say that inflation is never really going to stop, and because of that, I think there's never really going to be a limit to as long as the NFL continues to be a thing, and as long as they continue to pay players
Yeah.
large amounts of money, inflation is just going to make that number keep getting bigger.
Like we're gonna have players getting $1 trillion, a quadrillion amount of dollars.
Yeah, and like in a few hundred years, when that amount of money is like a normal amount of money, then yeah, that could be realistically a thing. Because like you gotta think, because think about how it worked in the past. Like I'm just gonna use an example of like $20. Like in the past, like in the early 1900s, $20 was a lot of money. $20 was equivalent to like over $100 today. Back in the early 1900s, that kind of gives you an idea of how inflation works. Nowadays, we think about hundreds of dollars as like like it's a lot of money to the average person, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. Back in the like, basically that gives you an idea of how it works. So if you apply that, if you extrapolate that from now and look ahead in the future, what we see $1 trillion today as a huge, almost incomprehensible amount of money, whereas decades or even centuries in the future, that $1 trillion could be equivalent to what we see as like a couple $1,000 today.
I wouldn't say it'd be like that, but I see where you're going. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to bring up this topic as kind of like a follow up to when we previously talked about this. So okay. I see what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've lost like all of our viewers because they don't want to listen to me ranting about economics.
Yeah, I almost lost. I lost interest. I was kind of zoning out. Like, I felt
I'm
like I was back at
sorry.
school
I'm
listening to
sorry.
this.
No, economics is one of the few things that I actually find relatively interesting. I actually kind of like economics.
Yeah, I don't. It's all boring to me.
That's fair.
I'm sorry to say.
That's fair.
I know how much you like your 1,000-word essays.
Yeah.
And with inflation, those 1,000-word essays are going to become 10,000 words.
Yes, because
That's going to become the norm.
there's obviously
I'm talking about.
obviously inflation works the same way for words as it does for money.
Can you imagine?
I mean, with inflation, we could eventually have our episodes being 10 hours long.
Exactly. Yes. Inflation is causing our episodes to be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna title this episode because it's gonna be a longer episode. We're just gonna title it "This episode is longer because of inflation."
Yes. Inflation caused our episode to be 2 hours.
Yes.
All right. So how long have we been going?
We're at a minute and 15, or an hour and 15 minutes.
I was about to say, hold up.
A minute.
What's happening? Is time going to be a victim of inflation? Like 72 hours is going to be considered a day?
Yeah, no, it's an hour and 16 minutes now.
Okay. That's only considered a minute.
Yes. Yeah, inflation's crazy, man.
Inflation's crazy, man. All right. So I got two more topics, and they're all kind of intertwined. But yeah, I'll get to that. So one of the things that we like to talk about occasionally is commercials. And
Yes. Mostly YouTube ads because that's still the only kind of commercials that I see usually.
So these type of commercials I'm gonna bring up, they appear as YouTube ads, and they also appear as commercials on TV. They're just kind of like, it's kind of a trend that's happening with modern commercials. Now, as you may be aware, commercials and like really any type of traditional media, they might try to let's say relate to the youth.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
We talked about this before of just
Yeah.
like commercials clearly being out of touch and like trying too hard to be cool.
Yeah, because they try to take advantage of like what's popular at the time and like what's hip with the kids to like try and resonate with like a certain target audience, but they always fail so miserably at it, and it's always incredibly cringe when they try to do it.
And here's the main thing that makes it fail. What makes it fail is the fact that it is a commercial and it is something that is trying to sell you on a product.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that always makes it fail, because the main reason why media that relates to our youth exists, they mainly exist for the purpose of entertainment.
Yeah.
But
these commercials are not really entertaining.
Well, okay, I'll get to that in a second, but that's the thing. Like, if commercials, if they're done well, they can do their job of selling you a product. But if they do it well, they could also be very entertaining while doing it. However, one method that they've taken as of recent, because this seems to be a recent thing they're doing, is they are taking iconic songs. Like, they'll take a song that's iconic that everyone knows, and they will change the lyrics to relate it to what they're selling. So, I want to bring up this example, but I'm saving this example because this particular example I'm thinking of, this is by far the worst and like the most cringe-worthy. But let me start with a slightly.
I think I know. I'm gonna just do a bit of foreshadowing. Are you talking about the T-Mobile one?
Which one?
There was a T-Mobile ad where basically like the guys in the commercial. I'm pretty sure it's based on an actual song, but the lyrics are like an ad for T-Mobile.
Are you talking about the one that's like, I got home internet from
That's one of them.
T-Mobile?
That's one of them, but there was another one that happened more recently. I forgot what the song
That
was.
might. That's one that I'm not too familiar with myself. It might. I don't think it feels more like an original score, an original song they made. But let me bring up an example. There was a Carmex commercial that took the song "Cause you know I'm bright and dirty, yeah I'm bright and dirty," and they
Oh
changed
yeah.
it to "Yeah I'm bright and dirty." They said 30 instead of dirty, and the main gimmick was uh, you could save 30% off or something with
Oh,
CarMax.
with
And so they
CarMax.
changed the song lyrics from writing dirty to writing 30. And you could tell it was like a different take. Because like they mixed it horribly. All these examples I talk about, they mixed them horribly. To where you could just tell they inserted their own little gimmick into the example. Uh so that's one example. Another example is there was a Uber Eats commercial, and the Uber Eats commercial was talking about a particular deal with Domino's, in which you could get like free pizza or wherever. And the main gimmick of this one was it features an artist by the name of Lil Wayne. I'm sure you don't know who that is, but Lil Wayne, he has a song called "A Millie," and like the song in the instrumental, it just goes like a milli, 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 and like that's basically how it goes. But basically in the commercial, Lil Wayne is just like, I could have 1,000,000 pizzas, 2,000,000 pizzas. How about 10,000,000 pizzas? And then the song goes 10 milli, 10 milli, 10 milli, 10 milli, and it's like that's like you could have just had just like 1,000,000 pizzas and just put in a milli, and that would have been fine. But no, they specifically have say 10 milli, and so they changed the song to say 10 milli as opposed to a milli. So that's another example of them taking an iconic song and just like contextualizing it into whatever deal they're trying to make. And so those two examples I bring up, they're kind of like softball examples, but let me bring up the worst example that I've seen. This is one where they didn't even try. This was for a laundromat commercial of them selling like laundry stuff or whatever, and the song they take is a song where it goes, "Everybody dance now."
Oh yeah.
Everybody dance now. They changed it. The company name is Damp Red. That's what the product is called. And they changed the song to "Everybody Damp Red." Everybody Damp Red. That's what they changed it to.
This is not
That
even.
right there. Not they didn't even try.
They weren't even.
just
They
were
weren't
just
even
like,
trying to rhyme with like the original lyrics at all.
exactly. Like at least like writing dirty. Those are sounds that sound alike. Like they rhyme. 10 milli, L milli, they don't rhyme, but they kind of sound alike if you say it a certain way. Everybody damp red. It doesn't even
Yeah,
rhyme.
it doesn't work.
It doesn't even make sense when you say it. Everybody damp red. What is damp red a verb now?
Yeah, because that's like the name of the product. So like, what is it? It doesn't.
Yeah,
It
like
doesn't
what are
make
you
sense to say
doing?
that.
Why are we having everyone damp red? That doesn't mean anything. This commercial sucks. The song sucks, and I just hate it. This is the main one that inspired me to talk about this, about commercials during this, because this is as lazy as you can get. Just taking a cup, like just the product name, and just slapping it on wherever iconic song you want. And for that damper example, it was clear they didn't even try. they were just like, there's this song, everybody damper it, whatever, put it out there. Yeah, this is something that gets me angry, like not like unreasonably angry, because like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But it's just like why? Just like why?
I found
But
a version of the T-Mobile one that I was thinking of earlier.
the one you were bringing up, there's
Yeah.
another one that I was trying to find because I heard it once.
This is like a full like minute long version that the actual T-Mobile company put out on YouTube. It's not the actual ad version. A lot of the versions for ads are shortened.
Yeah. Again, I'm not entirely sure if that counts in this particular discussion because I'm not sure if it's based on anything. Like it sounds like more like it's based on maybe like a musical, but all the
I don't
examples I'm
know.
talking about, they're just based off pop songs, like songs that like people will recognize from like hearing it on the radio or something. But yeah. Uh, so and this transitions into the last thing I'm going to talk about. This is another commercial that also makes me angry, but not because it's bad. It's actually the commercial itself is actually good, but it still makes me mad. And I imagine saying that will have you confused.
I
Like,
mean, it's probably like I would assume it's probably something that the commercial does. Uh,
no, it's nothing that the commercial does. Like the commercial is perfectly fine. It's actually kind of funny. I will describe this commercial to you so that you understand what it's about. So, like, the commercial is perfectly fine, but it still makes me angry, and I will explain why. So, and the funny thing about this is actually involves the exact same artist that I talked about with the A Milli song, and it features that same song in this commercial, the A Milli song. It
but
features
it
the
but it
exact
ends up
same thing.
actually being good.
So let me describe the commercial. So the commercial is basically Lil Wayne, the artist in question. He's in a hotel room. He's laying down and he's trying to go to sleep. But upstairs, there's like a party going on, and LeBron James is there, and
Of
they're
course,
playing
of
his music.
course,
I don't know why LeBron James is there. It's just like
because he's a popular figure that can be displayed on TV for clout.
basically. But they're playing music, like they're jamming out to his A Milli song, and he's playing it on a speaker. This is a commercial for Beats, Beats by Dre, like the
Oh,
speaker they got.
the headphones, yeah.
No, not the headphones, the speaker. They got
Uh,
like a speaker
yeah, I know.
thing.
They're like a brand that does like audio stuff.
Yeah, and so this is a commercial for the speaker. And on the speaker, they're playing his song, and like it's super loud. And then downstairs, Lil Wayne, the artist who literally made the song that they're jamming out to, they're just like, "Man, it's too loud. I can't sleep." It's just like it cuts to them partying, and then him just like, "I'm trying to go to sleep. Decent people are trying to sleep, and me." Like, it's actually very funny. Just see, like the idea of this rapper who made this song for people to party to, and the rapper himself, he's just trying to go to sleep. And he's just like up here, and he's just like, "Ugh." It's just like he's ashamed of what he created. It's like,
What have I done?
what have I done? And it's like, so the idea of this commercial is very funny, and like, eventually he like goes upstairs. He like he goes into the party, he turns off the speaker, and he's just like, "Y'all are playing Lil Wayne too loud." And then LeBron James, of course, he comes up and he's like, but you're Lil Wayne. Wouldn't Lil Wayne want us to play too loud?" And then this is funny. He's just like, "You know what? That's a good point. Yeah, carry on."
I don't care about sleeping anymore.
Yeah, all it took was for LeBron James to say that, and that was the thing. He was like, how could I tell them to turn down Lil Wayne? I'm Lil Wayne. Like, so that commercial, that's how it ends. Like, they continue partying, and then it shows off the speaker. It's just like, buy the speaker now.
Buy the speaker now.
They just shut it off. It's like, this is the speaker in question. So that was the commercial. And like I said, it's very funny. I found it personally funny. But here's what makes me mad about this. This commercial seems like the perfect type of Super Bowl commercial. Now, if you don't know, Super Bowl is the national championship of the NFL. And the main tradition for the Super Bowl is for the commercials to a lot more entertaining. Like a lot like regular commercials are like whatever, but like Super Bowl commercials, they had a tradition of like making them like feature a bunch of celebrities that like a lot more
Yeah.
dry humor.
I don't watch the Super Bowl, but I have heard that the commercials usually have like a lot of celebrities in them.
Yeah, and they try to make them as funny as possible. However, for the past couple of years, the Super Bowl commercials have sucked. Like just getting onto the chase, they've just sucked. They just were have they devolved from being funny to not funny. And it's like I was like confused, like why are they not funny anymore? Like what happened? Like these commercials, like they've just evolved from just like into just like other like the exact type of commercials I was describing, like the commercials that tries way too hard to be hip and relevant to the point where it's cringy. And what makes me mad about this commercial that I described is this seems exactly like the type of Super Bowl commercial that would air during the Super Bowl, but it wasn't made for the Super Bowl.
That's
So
like
it's just like missed opportunity.
so that's like why are they why are like the Super Bowl commercials not funny anymore, but they're making commercials like this that are funny
Like
that
commercials
are
are being
not for the
made
Super
that
Bowl.
aren't on the same level of being funny. Like that's what I don't get.
But
Like why?
okay, so it's like if you can make commercials like this that are funny, then why are you making commercials that are not funny for the Super Bowl, which is where the commercials are supposed to be funny?
Exactly. Like that's what I don't get. That's what I truly don't get. Like, and obviously, as we talk about this, we should make it clear like these are commercials at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, who cares?
Yeah, at
You
the
know,
end
it's
of the
just
day,
like
they're still trying to sell you on a product. They're still trying to get you to spend money.
exactly. But the way I look at it, there is still an art to making commercials because like if you make a commercial that's both entertaining and funny, it hooks people in and it makes the job easier to like sell them on a product. And it's like the solution to selling products is right there. You just gotta put effort. And the fact that these companies just don't get the memo at all, and they're just making these commercials as shitty as possible. It's just like it just makes me so angry. It's just like the customers are right there. Like the target audience is right there. You just have to try. Like why are you not trying, you lazy dipshits? Like
Will
this is again.
Will
This is what
rants
makes
for
me.
Will rants
That's why
for
this commercial
15.
makes me mad. The fact that it's good and proves that they can be good, but they're not.
The title of this episode is going to be Will rants about why Super Bowl commercials aren't funny anymore.
Like Will rages over a good commercial.
Yeah, Will rages over a good commercial.
Because it's just like, why is this good? Why is this commercial making you feel angry? It's a good commercial. It's like, yeah, and that's the problem. This is the exception to the rule. This should be like standard, but it's not. uh, that was quite a way to end the episode. Like,
Yes.
I don't think we're gonna get to that 2 hour mark, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're
Unless
only
you
at,
have another topic that you want to talk about.
they're only at a minute and 34 right now. I didn't really come prepared with a topic for this episode, so
I don't know. This was a good episode. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree? This was a good.
There was a lot of ranting on both sides.
Yes, we brought a lot of emotions. Yeah.
I wrote a 1,000-page essay on economics.
Exactly. Yes, I had a 1,000-word rant over a commercial, over multiple commercials.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just one of those episodes that's just like we
It's
had a
another
lot to
banger.
talk about, and since we hadn't recorded in a while, that allows us to come up with some fresh topics, come on with some fresh energy.
Everything's
And,
fresh.
yeah. Everything's fresh. Yes.
And before we end this episode, I would like to remind you guys that this episode is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. All right. And with that being said, as always, please like and subscribe for another episode of
To Whom It Concern. See ya.
My back still hurts, by the way.